It should start.
Cool.
Um, okay, so we have the meeting about additional tracking information in IDEs. And so like the first question is how editor extensions send data to Snowplow. And we mainly send the data from the language server, and we track data for the code suggestion lifecycle events. Like we track when suggestion one was requested, loaded, accepted, etc. There is a bunch of dashboards. I shared a link there to where these events are visualized. So like perhaps from there you can figure out what the data source is. We do not include standard context for these specific events, but I don't see like what the problem would be if we decide to do so.
Hmm. Yeah. So what we are interested in specifically, whichever the events are going to the AI gateway. So for that, ideally, like it's good to have a standard context included, but that's fine. Like if you are using code suggestion context, which is suitable for your needs. But specifically, whatever I'm mostly interested, like how it is going via AI gateways. Like if you can talk about that.
Okay, I think I can. That's a little bit confusing for us because most of the tracking happens we send directly to the snowplow to our snowplow instance, but we do
Mhm.
send some tracking information to AI gateway in the form of headers, which we retrieve from the GitLab instance. So I might share a screen. Hopefully, it's not going to be too
Sure.
detailed. Uh,
Yeah.
but if I'll just don't worry, I'll make the screen the text larger, and I just direct connection client somewhere here. I just want to show you the exact data that we are sending to AI gateway that might clear
Okay.
up some things. So we've got this uh,
Hmm.
connection details, headers. All right, so this is the
Hmm.
additional information that we send to AI gateway. That's what we get from the instance, and
Hmm.
we pass it through. And that's really all I think that we are
Okay.
sending. And the rest of it comes. We are sending the events, which what was the name? Give me a sec. That would be like tracking context, standard
Okay.
context. Elena, would you help me? Do you know where we would find all the? Is it snowplow?
Um,
Snowplow
I don't know what
tracker.
you're.
I'm looking for all the information that we are sending to Snowplow, to the code suggestion context that we are sending, just to put those
You
things next to each other.
You can open Snowplow code suggestion service, I think it's called.
Snowplow
Or
code suggestion
tracker.
Snowplow tracker. I see here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and okay, so this is the context
Mm-hmm.
that we are sending. This is what we are sending to Snowplow directly. You see
Okay.
this interface here, and then right next to it, I'm gonna put the direct connection
Yeah.
client, the headers. Sorry for the Vim craziness. Once it stabilizes, you will see what's
Yeah.
what's happening there. So it's somewhere here, the direct connection details. Yeah, so this is what the model
Yep.
details
Yep.
and these two. So this is what we are sending to gateway, and here you see what we are sending directly to. So when I saw originally the list of fields, Anki, that you were
Mhm.
planning on adding, it seemed like more the data that we are sending directly to Snowplow. And so
Yeah.
I was surprised to now hear that it's all about AI Gateway. So I'm curious.
Yeah. This is mostly about the AI gateway. Like what on the right hand side, like we are saying the headers, right? We want to
Yes.
include more headers there.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, there are
and
two, just for the clarification, there are different events track. There are events at so in the IDE front end side, and you have events also that are sent directly from the AI gateway services.
Hmm.
So the goal is to enrich the backend events with the same level of information as here. That obviously in the backend you don't know what's the browser, the client, etc.
Gotcha.
And this is all information.
Yeah.
Ideally, I think there's even more like the generation of events, but like ideally in the best world, an ideal world, we will have the same attributes for all these events, but I think we don't really need to spend time to do that. But at least, yeah, to get this information into the backend events that we're progressively using more and more as the source of truth for usage analytics, and also this kind of information may be used for cost tracking, etc., for other things. So that's why we want to have something a bit thorough here.
Okay, so the tracking is like the dashboard that will look at these events is actually going to be a different dashboard than the one that we are using for deciding whether code suggestions are fast enough or whether they are getting rejected too often.
Correct.
It's going to be okay, Sasha, I understand. So
All the AI gateway reports, let me send it. The Google AI gateway reporting dashboard. This one.
okay, gotcha. Not going to be clicking on them, but all right, understand. Okay, so let me just quickly then understand. So I'll just Lena, correct me if I'm wrong. Like just follow my thinking. I assume that we have all this context somewhere in Snowplow, and the work for us is going to be making it more available in our system, so we can then include it in these headers. And the also part of the work is going to be working with the AI gateway team, with the AI framework to group to figure out this interface for all the extra attributes that we are planning to track. Another thing that I wasn't quite clear here, and I'll see which one.
Yep.
Yeah, this might be it. Maybe there was a table somewhere with examples, probably.
I think the first link. I think it's the first link. Yeah.
Okay, so that's for some reason I wouldn't click the first link. It's on Google. That's always the AI generated content, the first link, the SEO optimized. So I started from the second one. All right, so we've got this interface, and as I understand, interface is a feature, like the fully feature. Good example is with code suggestions, and the code suggestions is an interface with this naming.
No. The interface will be, I think we might update here. Is it sent through Duo Chat or through like the front end we're using? Are you using the web UI or an IDE?
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the duo chat and workflow. Since those are features as well, that was
Yeah.
slightly
I
confusing.
need to,
me.
yeah, that's a good point. I will update it to make sure you have like clear values here.
Okay, because
So would it
when I
be
was
just like, can I
sorry,
ask
go
a
Lena.
question? Would it be like generic like ID or is like a specific ID?
No, generic ID.
Only like say
And
here ID.
So the specific one will come in the client name in the below field, and there is next field as well. Yeah. So VS Code JetBrains.
Okay, I might link the way how we define like all the possible ways how we define the client in the current Snowplow schema, and just let you have a look at the the proposed format here is slightly different, just to see whether we can unify it or whether it makes sense to have two different ways how we identify the client. That's a minor though. I think I understand. And so okay, but one thing that might not be necessarily important, but the unit primitives, I read somewhere where we were defining it with the primitive being the small parts that are building up a feature, and the code suggestion example was code completion and generation are primitives that are then included in a feature. And I guess that we will be still calling that feature. Maybe it's not even important for the tracking that we are supposed to provide here, but I just wanted to understand.
It's called a unit primitive. That's the way what's called to, because it might be slightly different from a user-facing feature. Like the example, yeah, it's like code suggestion has like different like feature or primitive behind that, and it can be split up later on. So that's why we don't want to especially have like a feature, but have like a feature category. So is it like a primitive that is part of the overall code creation group of features, and then we want to know like where is it coming from? Is it coming from GeoChat, from or from directly the IDE, code suggestion, etc. So we're trying to add like more granularity to be able to query then in Tableau or in Snowflake or whatever, using like multiple attributes. Because right now we only have like one, which is the primitive. And we, in the Tableau dashboard, we had a feature. There's like unit primitive and features, and feature was just inferred from a concept of service that won't exist anymore. We're removing that. But
That was
there,
here when we were like the definitions here. That
exactly. And there were a lot of different things that happened with this service, and basically every primitive has a service that has the same name. So it's hardly differentiated between the two. So it's fine.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'll try to recap it again to see where my understanding is at. We will have these three, I assume, like new, like let's say categories of like these three groups of data points that we want to track. We want to send them, and the ones that we are missing, which probably is going to be only the client type, is what we will be sending to the AI gateway. Are there any other paths that the AI gateway can't solve for themselves from just like knowing which endpoint is being used? Like I assume that like code completion and generation for code suggestions or some prompting from chat is something that the AI gateway can just infer from what the client is calling. So from the information that the AI gateway doesn't have is the client, I assume, and that would be the main thing that is missing in this list. Where was it? Here in this list of things that we are sending to AI gateway.
Okay, I was saying like I'm not sure like ID extension sends it, but there was a user agent being sent as a header. So I don't see, but if user as agent is already being sent, like we can at least get like the client version and all those things already.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think we do send the user agent. If I just search for it here, user agent, code completion, language server experiment. This is our user agent that we are sending. It's probably not like a.
But that's going to the monolith, not to the AI gateway.
Let me check what's the direct connection.
Direct
what kind of
connection
user agent? Support instance version. I'm sorry, I'm trying to quickly. User agent. I would think that I reuse the same user agent if I was implementing, but maybe not. Okay. Connection details headers. I think that this might be I don't know. Never mind. I don't want to spend this speaking on it. But okay, we are sending user agent, but I'm not sure whether we will need to, at the very least, make sure that the user agent will be able to tell you, like, this can be inferred from it in AI Gateway. Is there any other like data points that you think that the AI Gateway is missing that that we need to provide, that only the client, which in our case is the IDE or the website, has access to?
Yeah, I think those should be sufficient for this particular thing, like the interface if you can send and the client name. if user agent is present, like we can at least get client version and client type with based on that. Uh, Apart from that, like can you go back to the head that snowplow context which you are showing in Wing?
Mm-hmm. I mean this one.
Yes. So here, like I can see, like we are sending input tokens and output tokens, right? Uh, can we also send that as a header? Because like I think the next task for us is a cost tracking, and we want to add these things in AI Gateway as well. So if you can include those values as well in the headers.
Yes, we could. I'm
Mhm.
almost certain that we never set them, except this is track test code. This is defining it. Yeah, like I'll double check. I don't remember seeing that field filled before, but Lena might know better.
I think like actually AI gateway like provides this information to us like in the code suggestion response, like the tokens count, and so it probably already has this information, so we don't need to send it back and forth, but we can certainly
Oh,
send.
it comes from AI Gateway as a response. If in that case, like
Yes.
I can check
Yeah.
with AI Gateway.
So
The input token needs to be calculated by the LLM, I think, or by some
yes,
yeah.
by the API, like from
Yeah.
Anthropic or Google, we don't have any logic in the language server that would parse it into tokens. Okay, so I'll sum up what we'll do. There is a spike,
Yeah.
the investigation that I created. I linked it in the discussion on the Epic. I won't be able to find it now, but there is a spike, and I'll fill up what I found or what we discussed here. I'll put there on Monday that we need to get additional data about a client into AI Gateway. I'll link what the language server is sending at the moment. The language server is the only thing that uses code suggestions. It's slightly different for chat. So I'm now like my mind is wrapped around code suggestions. Let's start with that. But chat we can do fast follow. This it's going to be very similar. Like let's say the mental model for this is going to be very similar for chat as well. And so I'll describe the data that the AI gateway is missing. I'll link all the source files and I'll ping someone from the AI framework team. And of course you, Ankit, and you, Sasha, and we'll go from there. I think that is really good that we had this session because I had completely different idea about what is needed, even though I spent some amount of minutes reading through the epics. So
It's a
I'll
tricky one.
Yeah,
I,
it's
so
exhausting. So definitely, yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
question. So because as far as I know, if it's not like outdated knowledge, we request code completions directly from AI Gateway, but the code generations, we do not request them from AI Gateway, right? Because they are still requested from the monolith. So this like code generations are kind of dropped from this analytics.
It's still proxying after through the AI gateway, I think.
yes.
Uh,
Yes, it goes
yeah.
from through monolith to AI gateway. That's the
Okay.
tricky
So this
part.
should be okay. So ideally, we should be able to also pass this information for these calls.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great point, Lena, because
Yeah.
it's going to be easy for us to include headers to AI gateway for the code completion, but for the code generation, we'll have to have some code in the monolith as well that at the very least forwards the headers that come with the request to AI gateway. I'll include that in the spike.
Cool.
Okay.
And what we can do as we're progressing is we can check in Snowflake which of the requests still have no like missing attributes, and then we can iterate on that if there's any missing one.
Gotcha. Like you mean that if we first implement the direct connection, which that's the feature we call the feature of connecting directly to AI gateway direct connection. And so when we implement the headers in the direct connection, you'll start seeing the attributes that you are looking for in code completion and not code generation. That's what you mean, Sasha. And then we can add another, like a, let's say, what is it called? Unit primitive. Another unit primitive, which is the code generation, would then come later. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I added just on the Google Doc like the list of unit primitives just for FYI, so you can see the not sure if it'd be super helpful, but you can see what we mean by unit primitives. Also, I did a link to the attributes documentation that NKit wrote, where you have the details for each, what is interface, what is clean type, etc. Yeah, this one, useful.
Gotcha.
Interface thing that clarifies. I was not clear about what should be there, but it was like duo chat or duo workflow or etc.
Understand. I'm gonna well, like I'm not gonna make the spike description like 100% correct. I'll just like put there my mental model of it, and then I'll ask you to help me out to clarify a few things.
Yep, happy to.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll post this recording on YouTube.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy weekend.